everyone, I'm Todd Wayne. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Paranormally Podcast, home for all things paranormal supernatural. A Paranormally is a weekly podcast focusing on the paranormal, supernatural, and metaphysical. Join us for thought-provoking discussions on paranormal phenomena, conspiracies, and all things unexplained as we talk to researchers and investigators about ghosts and hauntings, UFOs and aliens, urban legends, cryptids, and so much more. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow to receive notifications when new content from Paranormally Podcast is made available. You can also visit us at paranormallypodcast.com for more content and information, including all our social links. Thank you again for watching or listening. So grab yourself a drink and a snack. Turn the lights off on the way back. Find yourself a nice comfy spot and enjoy this episode of Paranormally. Stay with us, folks. Hey, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I am so looking forward to talking to you. I've been watching everything that you do and learning a great deal about cryptids, especially Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So please introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Well, where to start? Some people claim to have been doing this for 50 years or more. I personally, I've only been involved for a little over 13 years. And, to give you a little background story, I mean, I grew up in the woods, ever since I was a young child. Dad's always been hunting. We've been fishing. And so, I pretty well became familiar with the outdoors at a young age. If I wasn't tagging along with Dad while he was hunting, I mean, I was playing in the woods anyway, building forts as a kid, stuff that kids used to do back in the day, away from all this technology, getting involved with a lot of this, it's been very rewarding. It's very fascinating. I'm very much involved with wildlife. One of the things I like to tell people, for those who don't know me, I'm a wildlife and Bigfoot researcher, and I always quote that. Notice that I put wildlife before Bigfoot. It's very important to me. And I want people to understand how important it should be for them, because with a big part of the Bigfoot research on my part, with the way I like to lay things out to people, people got to understand they give Bigfoot credit for a lot of things, but they neglect wildlife. They neglect what other species are known for doing. Every finger's got to point towards Bigfoot. So there's an objective side to me when it comes to a lot of this. To a lot of people, I come across as a negative Nelly, and I try not to, but I try to encourage people, my thing is I find it more exciting to try to rule out the other possibilities. If you're going to be involved in this, you don't have to be an agent, a scientist, or, but there's a lot of logical and critical ways of thinking on this, But at the same time, I tell people, especially the new people, there's no wrong way to do this. But yet, I like to share my views and why I do things the way I do. I know I'm not the only one. There's a lot of critical thinkers out there, and that view this, the way I do. And I've actually seen some of your posts, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I agree with you on a lot of what you put out there as well, So, I mean, I'm just. I'm nobody special. I mean, I like to say I'm like your average Joe, but maybe with a little twist. If that makes any sense,
Absolutely. There's a lot of things, especially in the cryptid department, that we don't understand. We don't know. And I see, I see a lot of people out there that they see something, maybe the way the sticks are that fall out of the trees, and they automatically jump to Bigfoot.
Oh, yes.
And yes, I believe there is something out there. I believe it, but not everything is Bigfoot.
Right. Exactly. Absolutely.
So
Um,
in your years of doing this, Daniel, what really got you into the Bigfoot scene? I mean, what was it that really piqued your interest in being like, hey, you know what? Really, Bigfoot could be right there.
Did you have an
right.
experience
Yeah.
that led to that, or?
No, the experience is starting a little later. To be completely honest with you, the big part of it was actually the Roger Patterson, Bob Gimlin footage. I mean, till this day, that video has been analyzed and dissected. Um, as far as I know, the only ones that's ever had, well, not the only ones, but the first ones to ever have the original footage to analyze with graphic video analysis, Mr. Bill Munns. You know, and the work that they put into that, it's really been fascinating. The way they look into that. Although that's a part of what got me into this, there's a few other things I look into too, because there's a lot of people, believe it or not. I mean, there's people that don't believe in that footage, for various reasons. Especially if you dig deep into the not the research, but the history behind it and the he said she said situation along with that back then, and who was involved, and well, the man who was a part of it had a reputation as a con man, but so there is some red flags that get raised up about it. But as far as that footage alone, it's what brought me into this pretty much. Especially my interest and my passion for the outdoors, wildlife. So that really opened up a door for me to get more involved. Um, and I will say, when I first got involved with this, when I first jumped on social media, I had come to learn that there was a lot of other people involved with this, which it kind of blew me away. And and to see that there was all these other groups and forums, and so that really kind of encouraged me to jump a lot further into it. And I was, like I tell people, I was like that kid in the back of the classroom just taking notes, because there was a lot of theories floating around, when I jumped on. Of course, up till now, the more I got involved, the more I learned. Now, some of the theories got a little bit more bizarre over the years, but I was also that same kid that didn't jump on board with any of them. I didn't want to be a part of a clique. I didn't want to be a part of that crowd. I wanted to be my own person in this, I said, well, just because you believe that, I'm not jumping on that road. Just because you believe that, I'm not jumping over there either. I want to stay here and then make my own decisions, not just go with what the popular crowd says,
Right.
Seems to be a big part of what's going on today. Everybody, there's all kinds of cliques, and well, I'm going to join this group because this one here seems popular, or seems like they know how to make things happen, and then we're going to start up our own convention here and do this here. It goes on and on and on. But there's a lot I could dig into over a lot of different subjects involved with this. But yeah, to get back more on course, pretty much that Patterson footage is kind of what gave me something to start with, and when after seeing that, here I am. I grew up in the woods, and it just kind of opened up, It's kind of opened up, a new world. If I was to say so myself. And when I was out in the woods, and after being more alert or more aware of the subject, my senses were more heightened. I was really paying attention. I was really listening. I was really looking. Like your average skeptic or your fellow non-believer, they find out what you're doing, what you're involved in. Well, I'm in the woods all the time. I never see no Bigfoot or no evidence. The thing is, they're not looking. You got to start looking. Doesn't mean you're going to find it right away, but if you spend a lot of dedicated time, you just might. You just might. I have come across my share of finding tracks. But yeah, like I tell people, when you go out in the woods, especially if you're new into this, get Bigfoot off the brain. Just focus on what you know that does exist.
Daniel, Michelle's question here. She has, have you ever came across a cryptid? there is other cryptids in
Right. Oh yeah, I've learned a lot of them, but I'm gonna be honest with you. As far as experiencing any other cryptid that we're aware of or know of, I can't honestly say that I've seen one or had any. I've found any evidence of one. A lot of people ask me about Dogman. That's a whole different subject. I tend to stay away from that one, but although I'm looking for tracks, the various species of known, all the known species, I never seen anything that stood out or pointed towards anything else. Otherwise, all your known species of wildlife, I see them all the time. And then you find the large humanoid tracks that we like to believe to, belong to Bigfoot. So yeah, absolutely, Michelle. But if I ever do come across evidence of another cryptid, I would be more than glad to, admit to it. I know a lot of people believe in these other cryptids, but I personally have never seen any other one but Bigfoot. But there's a lot I keep an open mind about, and I like the thought or the idea of some of these other ones existing if they do. So yeah, I mean, when I'm out there, I'm all about observing the best I can.
So,
Just recently, go ahead.
let me ask you a question because this is like a new alley for us, a new road for us. We've been doing this and, alien things or whatever. And it seems like there's a lot of people that think or say that Bigfoot is living in another dimension and that he can
Right.
appear as he will, like you'll think you see him and then he's like, oh God, I've been seen. Sorry, I can't talk right now. And then suddenly he's gone and you're like, did I just see that? Like, so what do you think? What is your theory on that?
Yeah,
No, that's a good
interdimensional.
question. Yeah, I mean, I personally, I'm going to say for the time being, I don't believe in that, only because I haven't witnessed or experienced anything to kind of give me that kind of, thought or idea or belief. I will keep an open mind because I have some close friends that believe that Bigfoot is alien, and some believe. I mean, supposedly, I don't know. You get some witnesses. You hear stories of people. Well, I've seen Bigfoot coming out of a spacecraft, and maybe they did see that. I mean, I'm not here to call anyone a liar, um, but yeah, to see anything other than what a portal would look like. I mean, we see things on TV, but if they do exist, we don't know if that's what they want, what they're going to look like, because that's TV, that's Hollywood, what we see on
Yeah.
TV. So it really messes with our minds on what we're supposed to think something looks like, but I do believe there's a lot of strangeness involved with Bigfoot. I mean, there's things I did see up here in Pennsylvania that I never thought I would see before because I've only heard stories about them. And to be more specific, is seeing strange flashing lights through the woods. I don't know what to think of them, but I will tell you, I have seen them up here in Pennsylvania. All my years in Virginia, I mean, and anywhere else I stepped foot on, I can't say I've ever seen that elsewhere. But so yeah, I mean, these strange lights I've seen, I mean, Julie believes they are from Bigfoot, giving off a form of energy,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Because,
and it's
I'm
fun.
sure that Bigfoot has, there's a community of them, like the mom, the dad, the kids, the aunts, the uncles, generational beings. And they have to live in a place. They need a shelter. They need a place to sleep and be safe and eat and farm. So, where are they? If we can't find this kind of evidence physically when we're roaming through the woods and actually looking, then perhaps maybe they are in another realm, just on the other side,
Right.
you know.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
that's
Uh,
kind of what I believe. So
right. Now, there's a lot of other species out there. I mean, like we know bears exist, we know mountain lions exist. And just to kind of give you an example, I'll use them for examples. Because they're top predators out there in the woods. but especially right here on the East Coast, Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, even up here in Pennsylvania and other surrounding states. I mean, your authorities say they don't exist here, but we have witnesses. There's witnesses. Are you going to call these witnesses liars?
Right.
Now these are species that are very elusive. We know they exist elsewhere, but it's like, where are they all the time? Why are they in hiding? I mean, bears get hunted. A lot of hunters will get them because they use their dogs to push them out. But you go out looking in the woods, you'll find their evidence. You'll find their scat and some of their their behavior that they're known for doing. But not many people get to say I've seen a bear or a mountain lion. But they are seen. Just like same thing with Bigfoot. I mean. I believe it's they say you're fortunate, you're blessed if you get to see a Bigfoot. I mean, depends on your view on that, but I mean, I have some people have seen things or have said they have seen things and they haven't spoke about them in years because they didn't want to share their stuff. But but yeah, they're elusive. They know how to keep remain hidden.
Yeah.
The other theory is that they remain underground. I mean, I always believe that's a good possibility.
Yeah.
But, so
sometimes we think there's a whole civilization living in Middle Earth.
Right.
Where all the rich
yeah.
people.
and there's that's right. And there's definitely something out there that people are seeing. I mean, with all the sightings of Bigfoot, there is something definitely going on. And I think that's why I like to say interdimension, because maybe they're like, oh crap, I've just been found out, and they disappear. However, and you're left thinking, am I crazy? Did I just see that?
Right.
So it's very,
at the same time, we could be doing that to them. They could
that's
be
right.
out doing their thing, and we're out there running around in the woods.
That's correct.
And they see us, and they're like, "Oh shit! Did you just see that?"
Mm-hmm. So that's true. Now,
right.
You've been in the woods all your life, so and I know that you're very skilled out there, so you do tracking, and you know what different prints are out there. Have you ever come across a track that you are like, maybe this could be, because it's unexplainable, but maybe it's one that you found, you did a plaster cast. I don't know if you do those or not. But yeah,
I don't have none of them with me, but I have a collection of casts from over the years. But
heck yeah.
So have you ever had that? Have you ever found something like that?
Oh, of course. I mean, but more pointing towards a possible Bigfoot, because I will tell you, a lot of tracks can be very deceiving, regardless if it's like bears. I talk a lot about bears in my research, and I compare bears with Bigfoot for a number of reasons. One, I believe they have a similar diet. Two, their tracks are often misidentified. I have actually seen people post pictures of bear tracks thinking they got a Squatch track. And that comes from not being aware. They're misinformed on wildlife. And that's why I'm very, I don't want to say strict, but that's why I push wildlife before Bigfoot. As my quote on my, I even have it on my website, is learning to know what is known before seeking the unknown. Because people are giving or contributing behaviors and some of their findings to the unknown when they belong to something that is already known, if that makes any sense,
Yes.
But as far as finding strange possible tracks, I like, hey, could this be Bigfoot? Maybe not. Some of them are questionable. They're not going to be clear sometimes. Well, actually, recently, which was interesting, just recently, when me and Julie were at one of the local state forest parks, taking a little, just a short hike, we were on the main trail, and I told Julie, I said, look at this, right on the edge of the trail where it slopes down into a wet, marshy area. I said, look at this. I said, what's that look like? She said, that looks like a foot track. Look at the toes. And yeah, they looked like there were toes in there. But after really taking the time to look at it, it was part of the washout in the gravel path. It was like right on the edge. It looked like a humanoid foot, but it was part of washout. Just the erosion in the ground, and it really had me deceived. I was like, I took pictures of it. I mean, it's actually on my phone next to me, but I put my foot next to it just for I was going to share it and post it and talk about it for educational purposes. But that goes to show stuff like that can be very deceiving. Because if it was a track, I was actually looking for other evidence before and after if there was anything that kind of point towards, okay, maybe this was a track. But I mean, that ground is so hard there, which this is what surprised me. You can basically take a sledgehammer and you might get a dent in the ground right there. But, it was, again, it was just simple erosion on the edge of the trail, and it could be, it was deceiving because when at first glance, I was like, holy crap, we got a big track here, but unfortunately and sadly it wasn't, but
Have you experienced them knocking on the trees and arching the trees and things like that? What's your theory on those things?
Yes, very much so. Matter of fact, I've had tree knock responses and experiences on and off over the years. But more recently, this certain area that me and Julie like to go into and visit every so often, our first night there, this is an area that didn't have no reports or nothing in the area. This is where the strange lights first got seen. Well, after it got dark, because we got there a little early, there was still some daylight left. And I decided to, just for the heck of it, because it's quiet, we weren't hearing nothing. But right after it got dark, I decided to give off a couple whoops. I whooped a couple times. I wasn't expecting anything. But keep in mind, we were on these boulders. There's a field there, and we're looking at the tree line. And of course, we're surrounded by the trees. But right in front of us, for some reason, that was our focus. I don't know. Our thing was to sit there because we thought it would be a great area that if we hear anything, we should be able to pick up vocals very nice right there. Well, she was sitting down on one of the lower boulders. I was actually like 3 or 4 boulders back, kind of like we're offset. And after giving off 2 whoops, right away, straight out in front of me was a tree knock. Clear as could be, wood on wood. There was a knock right there. Immediately following that knock, straight out in front of her, where she actually claimed to have seen eye shine prior to that, we got a knock right out in front of her. So that kind of pumped me up. I know it got her excited, and it's like, okay, there's something here, So it's like, it's like I came down. She kept talking about seeing some lights. I was like, from my position, I wasn't seeing what she was seeing. That's when eventually I came down in her position. I was looking straight out in front of her, right where we heard the second knock. I stared. It took me a while. I wasn't seeing nothing. Then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait a minute. What the heck is that? Some of these lights were appearing. Some of them looked like a blue flash, and little ones, like looking like you were seeing stars in the woods. And keep in mind, it's real thick in there. And I'm looking, and I'm seeing, the more I stare in this area, I was starting to see them more. And I didn't know what to think of it. I'm not somebody that was going to jump on board with, okay, this is something paranormal. This is strange. I don't know. My mind was, okay, was there something mechanical or something on a tree over there that's doing this? Keep in mind, I'm somebody, I got to debunk something, And after a while of seeing this, I told her, I said, I got to walk down there. I got to go see if I could see something. I didn't see nothing whatsoever. I mean, I will tell you, like one of the times where I was walking, I walked inside the woods with my flashlight. I was filming, talking about what we were seeing, and I'm looking around there. There was a couple times I heard something like scuffle or like sound like it was close and like ran out. Never saw nothing, but again, we've seen those on a few different occasions on other visits, and like I said, I'm at the point where I can't debunk it. I can't find what it was or what it could be, but I'm convinced that there's something going on there. I just can't say what. I mean, And she believes it's energy that the Bigfoots are putting out.
Yeah.
But that there all took place like I said, after the tree knocks. But down in Virginia, I mean, I've gotten responses from my tree knocks in the middle of the daytime. Which was interesting. And the way I've gathered and heard tree knocks, people believe and people believe in what they are in different ways. What I believe they are is a form of communication. I mean, I kind of picked it up from off of one particular experience. When I gave off a tree knock, I got two responses, one up the ridge and one down the ridge, and when I got not right after mine, I felt like, okay, they were letting me know, if they knew who I was. I don't know, that, hey, I'm over here, and this one here, I'm down here, I mean, that's kind of what I gathered from that. I mean, not saying that's what it is, but that was my conclusion, the way I heard everything, but I don't know. I mean, it could have other meanings. Some people think they're a warning. I mean, maybe, there's a lot we really don't know about what we experience out there.
Do you feel do you feel that there's more probability that Bigfoot is nocturnal than daylight? It seems like a lot of people they experience Bigfoot at nighttime.
Right. Excuse me. Yeah, most of your reports and your sightings do occur at night, some late at night. In Virginia, I mean, I've heard of stories in my main research area down there. Some of them have claimed to have seen them during the daytime, just before it started to get dark. One of the reports, I went up and met with a woman and her daughter. Now, this ain't in my research area. It was going up the mountain east of the Blue Ridge, where it was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and she was mesmerized. She was like more or less hypnotized, because she almost went off the road staring at it. She couldn't help but notice this large, 8 foot tall, very wide, broad shouldered, she basically saw it from head to toe. There was a small part of it that was standing by a tree, kind of behind the tree. And she was like, as she was driving up the mountain, she sees it, and she said she taps on her daughter's leg to look up at it, and like I said, she said she had literally started to go off the road, and she went up and she was able to turn around at the top to come back down. She wanted a second look, but when she came back through that same spot, it wasn't there, That's just an example of daytime sightings. I mean, I've heard of a few in the surrounding area in the Shenandoah Valley, So, yeah, you hear a lot about during the daytime, but yeah, most of them do occur at nighttime. And I think that's when they do a lot of their hunting, because come out into the dark woods. I mean, they blend in just as much as anything else, So, so yeah, I think it really depends. But most of them, yeah, you hear most of them that are tend to be nocturnal, Just like another creature that I recently seen for the first time, which I heard by the game commissions that they do exist here in Pennsylvania, is the porcupine. I've heard, we were talking to a game warden. Yeah, it was interesting because I was like, they're talking about how they chew up the cabins and stuff, and they're very destructive of wood. And yeah, I mean, me and Julie, where we camped out this past weekend, we did a one-night camp out in this one area. There's a field there, and we're sitting there by the fire. I don't know, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I start shining my light around. I said, "What the heck is that?" I thought it was a skunk, And I'm looking at it. I said, "I gotta go get a closer look." I said, "Julie, there's something over there." And when I realized what it was, I said, "Oh, wow, it's a porcupine." We ended up seeing like a total of 4 of them that night, and there were 4 of them in the field all at one time. And I was able to get fairly close at them. I wanted to watch them because they actually move like a skunk. If you get to see the head, they almost look like a skunk, in their face. But I think they might be a little faster than a skunk. I don't know, but they have a waddle to them. But
we're also in Pennsylvania. What region are you in? Like, we're in the southwest.
We're over by Somerset.
Yeah.
Oh,
South
I'm in Somerset.
Oh, okay. All right.
Dude, we probably
Yeah.
saw you at Walmart today.
Yeah.
No, I think Julie went to Walmart with her mother, but I was at work today, so yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I have no idea. So
Yeah, that's
we
awesome.
need to start playing in the woods more, babe.
Yeah.
yeah. There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
Yeah,
I've heard stories of people feeding Bigfoot. They'll go out and
yeah.
they'll have a fire or whatnot, and they'll set things out for Bigfoot. And then when the food is gone, then to them that's a sign that Bigfoot took that from. But to me, it just seems like it would be extremely dangerous if you set something out. You could have a huge black bear come up and
Oh yeah,
or
Oh, I never thought of
raccoons
that.
or something,
Yeah, I never thought of that.
What's your take on that?
yeah. I mean, I've always told people, yeah, gifting food is very risky. Yeah, like you said, you said it clear as as me. It could be very dangerous, because if you start leaving food in a certain spot on occasions, you start habituating whatever's going to come take that. It could be a predator that you don't want, a bear or anything else. The other thing is too, there's all kinds of critters that I know a lot of people like to leave apples. My thing is leaving apples. I think it would be exciting. Like I know they've done it on shows like what's his name, Les Stroud and stuff. They left apples high up on a tree and they would end up being disappeared. Well, if I think if you're gonna do something like that, let it be in the area that you don't plan on staying there. But the other thing is too, you got to consider or ask yourself: does the wildlife out here, are they allergic? Could the food that we're leaving them be harmful to them?
Yeah,
That's
I
something
had
you have
thought
to
of that
consider.
too. Yeah.
But gifting, I really think gifting is fun with like non-food items. I used to do trinkets and stuff. Some people like to build their own little structures, which I think that is fun to do. It's very, it's a fun little experiment. I've heard of people building their own little teepee structures or rock stacks. I've done a rock stack experiment in Virginia one time, and I don't know. I didn't know. I just whatever I could think of, I'll try it. Yeah. But I put a rock stack together one time out in the woods, and a week or two later, I came to visit, and that rock stack, well, that one top rock was sitting down on the ground next to it. It was small enough? Did the strong winds blow it over? I don't know. Did wildlife knock it over walking by? Or was it placed there? Well, I put it back. And there was another time I came there was a big turkey feather laying down in front of it. Was that a coincidence? Did it fall from a tree? Whatever.
Maybe
I
he
took
was
that.
giving you a gift.
Right. That thought crossed my mind. So I took that feather. Well, first of all, I took the top rock off. I put the feather on top, and then put the rock back on top to hold it there. I think I came back about 2 weeks later. That feather was down on the ground again in the same spot I found it, and the rock over next to it on the other side.
Wow.
So I think something was interacting.
Right?
If another person found it, I don't know. Yeah. So, but well, right where I did that, we're actually going to be camping there because we got to go to Virginia this weekend. We're headed out Friday morning, and I got to get my vehicle. My vehicle's been down in Virginia for the last 4 months, so we're going to camp a couple days, and then I'll grab my vehicle and I get to visit with my grandson. I miss the little guy, so yeah. So yeah. So I don't know. Kind of excited to see what might happen in this area here. So
Now, let me ask this question: when it comes to Bigfoot, and I don't know if this is a different state thing or region thing. I hear about different colored Bigfoots, like big red, they say, and then there's some that are darker.
Yeah.
Tell us how many different colors are there? Or are there like just specific like reds and that would be it?
Well, for one thing, for record, I mean, just based off the reports I've gotten from out of Virginia, a lot of them were like a dark reddish brown and usually like a black haired one, black and reddish brown. Some occasions I've heard people talk about seeing like a white or grayish color. My thing is, if you look at the colors of the black bear, now when we see a black bear, we see it that's just all black. You might see the brown on the snout. Sometimes a little white, depending on the age. But what a lot of people don't realize is that a black bear consists of several colors that we don't see. When they get their hair snagged on a broken limb or whatever, you're going to find hairs. And this is where people think, oh, I got Bigfoot hair because look, I got brown, I got white. No, that's coming from black bear. Black bears have these different colors. I mean, I've studied black bear hairs very closely, but with that being said, I tend to believe that Bigfoot also comes in those same colors. You got cinnamon brown, you got the white, and the various forms of brown and whatnot, So, I mean, I believe they do come in different colors, and I think just like us humans, we come in all shapes and sizes. Look at all the different nationalities, big and small.
Exactly.
I think a lot of it I believe a lot of it has to do with genes and and their environment. So yeah, but yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
But it makes perfect logical sense. I mean,
Yeah.
if a Rougarou, which is Louisiana's Bigfoot, if it would
Right.
venture towards Georgia or Florida, I mean,
Right.
it's going to be now it's out of its
Yeah,
area.
they're going to be like, hey, you're not from around here, are you?
Right. I mean, I would
Right.
imagine they would interspecies like the skunk ape and things
Well,
like
I
that.
feel like they have different communities in different areas. I mean, there's sightings everywhere. So,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
just, we're Yankees. Y'all are Yankees up here, and I'm a Southern.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's
Right.
Yankee big.
Just remember who won the war.
Whatever.
Yeah.
War every day.
Yeah. I grew up being called the Yankee because I'm originally from Massachusetts, but grew up in Virginia, so at a young age. Yeah. So
Every time he makes me mad, I'm like, you GD Yankee.
That's funny.
It's fun.
So now with different species and even like a young Bigfoot, of course, with the different color hairs, I mean, we are like a perfect example because when I was younger, my hair was a little darker, and now I have gray hairs. So,
oh yeah,
so that would be the same for them as well, correct?
It's like
I believe so. I mean, look at dog. Look at even bears. I mean, because when a dog gets old, they get a lot of white in their face, like like we do. You can't see mine. Mine's shaved down right now. You can see white patches. I grow a lot of whiteness in my beard. The more I shave, the more white it turns. But yeah. I mean, I believe they got to age. I mean, I don't think anything's what's the word I'm looking for?
Immortal.
Yeah. Nothing is dismissed from age. We all get older one way or another.
Unless you're a vampire.
Yeah, that's right. That's a whole different show. Now, where did you grow up? Where was you born, Daniel?
I was born in Douglas. Well, I was born in Milford Hospital in Massachusetts, but I was 11 years old when we moved down to Virginia. My father's job brought us down there, so yeah.
Now,
where he finished up the rest of his time before he retired.
Now, when it comes to sightings, what state or region would have the most sightings of Bigfoot? Like you grew up in Virginia. Is there a lot of sightings there?
Well, I'm going to tell you like this. A lot of people look at the Pacific Northwest because that's got the biggest reputation ever. It's a large, vast area, and it's so yeah, the Pacific Northwest has got a big reputation. But one thing I've always pointed out that the more I learn from the East Coast, it's highly underestimated. I think you have more people that are not coming forward, which I've learned that because when people learn about me, I've had people come out of the woodwork, because I put out my cards, I put out stuff because I want people to know who I am. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not embarrassed at all. But there's people that learned of me and say, look, I wanted to talk to you about something, and and they go on, and I want people to feel comfortable. That's a bigger thing. You want people to be comfortable with you. But you'll be surprised how many people have yet to come forward. I mean, I've had hunters that like, well, look, I don't want to say I believe in Bigfoot, but I've had some strange things happen to me while out in the woods, this and that. I've had hunters come out and tell me they've seen something walk out in front of them while in tree stands. So bear hunters. I've had a group of bear hunters say they saw a Bigfoot peeking out behind a tree. Now, if it was a bear, I think they would recognize a bear,
Yeah.
So, and not to mention police officers. I mean, I got a real good friend of mine, and I don't know if he shared it with anyone else, but he had a Bigfoot sighting while on night patrol, and he's like east of the Blue Ridge, just on the other side of the mountain, from where I grew up, actually where I was living. And so, I believe that these people, are credible. I don't have no reason to doubt that they're misidentifying what they're observing. They're experienced in the wildlife. And these are people that are trained to observe and witness, So, but the Bigfoot reports, you'd be surprised what I've heard over the years, just in Virginia alone. I mean, I've had people share their sightings when I meet them in other states. I've only been as far down south as South Carolina, which I've been going down there for the last few years for the South Carolina Bigfoot Festival, which I've been speaking there. But I got people that associate with me up around Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, and I'm getting stories from them, So the East Coast, I believe, it's safe to say that we have a healthy population,
Yeah.
I'm not saying they live in subdivision groups like we do, So they have their own, what do you call it? They have their own, population of whatever, So, Ron, he already is coming there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going.
Yes,
to that,
we
right?
are definitely going to that.
That
Yeah.
day off.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you guys are more than welcome to come set up on the 24th. Some vendors will be setting up on the 24th because me and Julie are actually getting married at the park there on the 24th. So,
Whoa, awesome. Congratulations. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
That'd
So
be
yeah,
cool.
we're definitely looking forward to that. So
And according to your posts, and I see you post all the time,
right.
she is very much into the Bigfoot culture as well, correct?
Oh, very much so.
And yes,
Is that how y'all met? Tell us your love story.
Well, she's been on my Facebook forever, and it wasn't until I had her as a guest on my podcast, So, I'm being professional and everything about it, but the whole time I'm going goo goo gaga inside my head. You're like, okay, I got to talk to this girl even more. So, yeah. Yeah,
That's
her
funny,
cuteness
we
and her
talked on that.
adorableness.
You wanted to run a check on me, a background check.
Yep. It's the new way. The new way of picking up a chick, throw them on the podcast.
Background check on you first.
So yeah, and it's great to be with somebody that has the same views as well, because I mean, some people, I would imagine, they get together, they start to get into different aspects of cryptids, UFOs, things like that,
Fairies.
and their person might not understand, so it could be a conflict.
Or it
Right.
could be a learning experience.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
I
how
mean, I'm
it's
always
kind of
trying
how
to
it's
get
been with
fairies.
me and her. Because I mean, she does have a few different views than I do, and and that's a healthy thing. Like I said, and she understands that there's some things I can't quite jump on board yet, but I'm not going to dismiss them. I mean, I just have to play it out and wait, and see how, if I get enough to, okay, well, and so I have picked up and learned a few things from her,
Like?
because she has her experiences, she shares her experiences, where she was at what the heck? I forget the name of the area, but she said like she's seen those strange lights in different areas, and she said stuff while had things happen to her while camping in her cot because she likes to not her cot but her hammock, in which she got me involved. I hammock camped with her for the first time a weekend ago, and I'm gonna give it another try because it was cold and wet, but I stayed dry. It was different for me, so but so yeah, I mean, trying these different techniques and stuff, you never know, you might get different experiences too. So it's just I know the area we're going to be in. There's a lot of bears in the area, so but I'll be locked and loaded regardless.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah, and you would think you're in a hammock, and I do remember seeing that post. You're in a hammock, you're higher
Right.
off the ground, which means, you're going to be like eating distance from a bear's mouth. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
Pretty much. I mean, I believe like when I've camped in the tent by myself before, there was one time, and I can't prove it, but I believe that there was one when I was waking up in the morning. I believe there was a bear just on the other outside. Like my cot was up against the wall of the tent, and I'm just waking up, and all of a sudden, I swear it sounded like it was in my ear because that's how close I was to the wall of the tent, and it sounded like I hear like a slight brush of the tent, and I hear this grunt, and the next you know, you hear the sound of these little pads running away. I was like, now, hey, was it something else? But I assumed it was a bear. But was it a juvenile or something? Yeah, who knows? I just didn't see what ran out. But
I would have been like, "This is when I
die." Ron says that you and Julie have a very squatchy connection.
Oh,
that's right. We sure do. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Ron, you'll see Ron. He's the MC for the guest speakers, and he'll be in his Bigfoot costume there too. So,
oh, fantastic!
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
so,
he's a Bigfoot that wears leather chaps because he drives a Harley. So,
oh, nice,
Nice.
nice.
Yeah.
Now, you've been on flicks and things like that, correct? You've been actually on some shows.
Yeah, there's a few documentaries I'm featured in. There is one on a Paraflix series called Hometown Haunts, and the Beasts of Elkhorn Lake was the latest documentary I'm featured in, which was filmed and everything in Virginia. Hunt for the Shawnee Sasquatch, I was featured in that one. That was filmed out in Illinois with my buddy Zach and his group. So that was a lot of fun. And then Justin Snyder lives in Northern Virginia. He's an independent film producer. He actually filmed my very first documentary. It's called Elusive Legend, an ECBRO story. So all those can be found on, like I said, The Beasts of Elkhorn Lake. That was on Paraflix. You could actually watch it now. It's available on YouTube. They got it put up on YouTube. Then the other ones are like on Tubi or any free network you find. Hunt for the Shawnee Sasquatch. They have not ever released that one. I don't know why they have not done so. They should to get more views on it, but they only have it available on DVD. So I guess they're trying to make money off the DVD sales. But it's I think it'd be better to bring more awareness. So if they put it on something like Tubi or even Amazon, Amazon Prime something, they will get more views on it. But it is what it, actually no, I take that back. It is on one of them because I was browsing through the TV and I was like, wait a minute, no, that's a whole different one. I'm sorry, that's a different one. That one ain't the one I'm thinking about. There's another Illinois documentary out there, but the Hunt for Shawnee Sasquatch, yeah, they really should put that on some kind of network for people to view it. Because a lot of people, there's a lot of people that don't buy DVDs anymore. So although I get copies of these DVDs, I'll sell them at events, for like $10, because there is people that still collect them. I got a DVD player, but just having internet and everything, I get to browse everything on whatever I can find.
Yeah.
But so Yeah, so yeah, there's a few of them out there. There's another one. It's never been released yet. It was filmed in Tennessee. It's called I Believe in Bigfoot. It's got several people on there, including Ron Moorhead and David Becerra from Georgia, who runs the Expedition Bigfoot Museum. Um, North Carolina Squatch Watchers and Michael Cook, who is actually one of my returning speakers for Virginia. Um, he's based out of Kentucky. But yeah, that's got some good people on it. I don't know. Last time I talked to a film producer, he's been working on a bigger project where he mentioned that it's going to be a part of a bigger project included. But so I don't know. It was supposed to come out last year, but as far as I know, it has not been released yet. So yeah, with all the people now, I think I only have a small part in it. I was interviewed on two different segments, like 3 months apart for it. But I don't know. We'll see. I'll be excited to see how that turns out when it is ready. But yeah, there's possible future things that may occur. It all depends if things fall through. Everything, nothing's. There's rumors, there's stories, and this and that. And I've been talked to by certain other people, but some of the things they may not even fall through. They may not even happen. But like I said. There's things I've been talked to about, which it'd be great if they do fall through, but there's no sense in really getting into that because like I said, it may never happen. So, but yeah, I like being a part of these documentaries. To me, is one of the things I like to do is spread awareness. By being involved or featured on these, yeah. My biggest thing is spreading awareness of who I am, what I do, my research. And I like to promote other people. I like to put the word out there for people. I've gotten people connected with other things that they never were a part of. I'll probably continue to do that. Because there's people like I said, I connected certain people with other groups and events, and I don't look for recognition, although, you would think they would say, hey, thanks for connecting me here, but, you don't hear that. But it is what it is, because, I host another event down in Virginia every year. I've been doing that for every June for the last 6+ years. It's the annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference. Most of that takes place indoors. Right now, we're filling up the outdoor spots right now. So yeah, we get some of the people that are behind some of the films I do. They're part of my community in there, and they're involved. They're a paranormal team themselves. But yeah, I got that's another thing. We get more paranormal teams involved with all that too. So I thought I mentioned, but so yeah, we'll see. Time will tell how things turn out. Because I do a lot of short filming with my stuff. I got a new camera. It's a really good camera. I personally believe that I will be working on some filming projects. I'm going to attempt to do. I want to do a real good documentary. So yeah, I paid good money for that new camera. So we'll see how that turns out.
Use it.
And I was going to ask if you do any content creation, because you're always in the woods, you're very knowledgeable, and I think to teach people is fantastic. I am all about
that. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you browse through enough of my YouTube videos, you'll see a lot of my podcasts, but I have a lot of field videos. There's a couple of them that I put together in the past. I title them like a documentary. Like one, for example, it's called Bigfoot on a Ridge, a Bigfoot documentary. I think that's probably one of my biggest views. It's 38,000+ views, whatever. But I don't know. There's other ones I do, because a lot of people find my content. It is what it is. To each their own. But a lot of people probably find my content a little on the dull side because I don't go claiming that I got a Bigfoot in them. Most of my stuff is viewing the scenery or sharing what I come across. And I talk about various things, like you talking about, educating people on certain things. And I try my best to do so. But so yeah, a lot of my videos are. They're informative. I try to be informative and educational, and there's a lot of people that really appreciate that. So yeah, but again, my stuff could probably come across as boring to some people, which is all right. I like to fill my campouts. Yeah, and if I do research involved with that, I try to include all that in what as well. Like there's a few like Ron on here, David Lester, him and his wife. They've been coming to my last few group campouts. They're actually David and his wife Melissa. They're coming up because I got a group camp out, and you guys are welcome to attend. It's happening immediately following the event. So as soon as the events go, because I'll probably have to either I myself or Julie may have to bring some people out there to get set up because we plan on setting up at least or either probably I don't know we're gonna at least have our tent set up there before everyone gets out there because
y'all can be honeymooning.
That's right.
pretty much. So don't mind those vocals.
Right. I'll bring my earplugs.
Nah, I wouldn't be like that. Yeah.
So what made you start ECBRO?
That goes back to where I mentioned how the East Coast is highly underestimated, and I wanted to form a group, to gather other people, and to help research and to share findings, in what does exist here on the East Coast. That's a big part of it. Now, when I started off in this, I was completely solo. I was completely by myself. Which when I first named it was actually ECBR without the O. So then I started speaking with others and connecting with others, and I just simply changed it to organization. Where I started gathering up a couple people, that wanted to be a part of a group with me, and then we kind of went from there. And we're not nowhere as big as no BFRO, but we do have people outside of state, up and down the East Coast that represent, and support the ECBRO. So, we actually have come a long ways, So yeah, it's been very rewarding. It's been fun. It's been an adventure, so.
I was going to say, you have quite a lot of members. I mean, that's whenever I was searching to do a Bigfoot episode, your stuff kept popping up. And
oh yeah, I'm constantly sharing stuff.
Yeah. So it was just like, hey, I got to get Daniel on and talk about Bigfoot and his experiences and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our Facebook group has come a long ways. We do have a main ECBRO, the East Coast Bigfoot Researchers Organization Facebook group. It used to be large numbers before, but I cleaned a lot of it out. Because nowadays you got to watch these groups because they're full of spammers and a bunch of junk, and a lot of these people that start these groups, they're all about big numbers. Well, your group sucks. I'm sorry, but your group is about numbers, not quantity. You're about quantity over quality. And now I've had my group since I think I started the Facebook group back around 2011, 2012, and we finally got back up to around a little over 8,000 now. So, but I got a good group of administrators. So we're constantly monitoring who's in there, and what's being posted. You don't know how many people I've blocked over the years. So stuff like that. I mean, I'm proud, and humbled at the same time to say, like my personal following has grown big time. I mean, I feel like I'm your average Joe, but I have over 76,000 people, over 7,600 followers alone, by myself, so I feel like I must be doing something right. I'm getting some kind of a following, so, but it is what it is. So, the more I can put out there, and the more people can observe what I do, great. So,
Daniel, if somebody's brand new, and I've had this asked to me, and I have no idea what to tell somebody. If somebody wants to know, how do you get into looking for Bigfoot? People that go out and they hike and things like that, but they would like to take it to the next level. What do they need to do? I mean, you're not going to go out and buy like a parabolic ear and things like that to get started. Or maybe they
You know,
do. Maybe they would.
well, one of the main things I do too, first of all, when you step foot out in the woods, like I tell people, I mentioned earlier, get Bigfoot off your brain. Forget about Bigfoot. But I'll back up a little bit though. I've spoken to young people and even other adults that want to get involved. My simple basic thing is to find an area of interest. Get familiar with the area. Learn about the known species of wildlife that exist. That exist in that area. It's very important to know what is roaming those areas. And understanding their behaviors, even their diets. Get familiar with the scat. It's all basic wildlife education. Knowledge that they should possess, regardless. If you're going to be in the woods, it's very important to understand wildlife because there can be potential dangers involved.
Yes.
So yeah, get familiar with the area. And when I first started doing this in Virginia, I mean, my area is fairly large, but it's kind of broken down into zones. And ECBRO or ECRO Zone 1, I call it. It's a decent sized area, but I choose to visit the area quite frequently because not just because that's where I've had experiences at, but you get to observe changes, based off of weather and other occurrences that happen there. Because your layout of the land does change over the years. It's not going to look the same. It will change. And, so it's very important to get familiar with a piece of land, territory. So that's one thing I would really highly recommend. If you're just starting off, pick an area of interest. And then kind of go from there. Start observing the ground, listening, spend different hours and times out there, daytime, nighttime, because at nighttime is when a lot of the wildlife, wakes up and you get to hear all kinds of wild stuff out there. And, I've heard some recordings over the years from people that, hey, check this out. Well, from what I'm hearing through this recording, it sounds like this animal because, I've been out in the woods with other people. I've heard owls will give off some screams and sounds that not everybody gets to witness or experience. But barred owls are very common in Virginia, and I mean I know they are up here. I've heard them up here in Pennsylvania, but barred owls will give off screams that you'll never expect to hear from them. And I've had people at my camp get excited thinking that we're being screamed at by a Bigfoot right behind our camp. No, I'm sorry. No, I know it's freakish sometimes because if you're not expecting it, and it will make you jump sometimes. Some of the stuff that these animals do and produce it's like off the charts. Just like coyotes. Coyotes have several different tones and vocals. People will hear things. Oh, that a coyote. Oh, wait a minute. Now the coyotes are starting up. No, and it's because I hear this a lot. That's very common. Just people don't realize the tones that these animals produce. They're not what the average person is used to hearing. So it's easy to jump on board. I believe it's Bigfoot versus being objective. I've learned that over the years, and I can speak for myself. I know it's hard to be objective. I want to some things I don't recognize. I want to think, okay, that might be Bigfoot. I mean, as I tell people, there's always possibilities. I'm not going to say it is, I'm not going to say it's not, but there's always room for possibilities, So when you come across a piece of evidence, hey, did Bigfoot do that? Did Bigfoot twist that tree or break that tree? Maybe there's that possibility, but these are the other species that are known for doing this and playing on trees and breaking trees. Even bears push over and uproot trees,
Yes.
Weather, storms, high winds.
What animals are doing the arches with the trees?
I'm gonna tell you that's a very interesting one. I've always been fascinating. That's one of the ones I've been fascinating. One of the things a lot of people don't realize, one is trees over a period of time will bend and stretch towards the sunlight. But then again, on the other hand, bears like to climb trees. Even some of these small, you'll be surprised. Some of these trees that you see bent over, a bear will climb up it, and they get so high, their weight will sway it over. And if they're still holding on till they touch back on the ground, sometimes those fibers of the trees become stretched, just like if ice and snow stays on a tree long enough, those fibers will eventually stretch. And in most cases, it'll spring back up, but that's not always the case. The fibers on the inside will stretch, and become more or less molded that way. Then again, here's where I believe there's a possibility of Bigfoot or something else being involved, because some of these trees, these arches, if you look at them, they're bent over and the tips of them are being stabbed in the ground. Those are the ones that tend to be fascinating, more interesting to me, because I question those. What's doing that?
Right.
Because if you look and observe that tree bend, yeah, if it's just bent over, I think something might have came over and bent them over, or but something literally stabbed some of these in the ground.
So what would be your theory on why they would bend that and stick the end into the ground? Is it marking a direction, possibly?
Or a portal, maybe?
I mean, that any of those are possible. A lot of people believe like a certain tree break, if it is a Bigfoot doing the tree break, that they're pointing towards a water source,
Okay.
Yeah.
Native Americans used to do that back in the day to mark where water source was. So yes, that's very plausible. Yes.
It sure is.
You ever see a big oak or maple that's grown over that looks like it goes up like this and then comes back up? That was done at a young early age, and it continued growing that way. There is some trees that grow up like this, which are weird. Certain species of trees do grow sideways before they start going up. But in some cases, there's some of them. I believe like the one like an oak or a maple that's bent over like this and going over, then going up. Yeah, I believe those are old Native American trees.
Yes,
that were done at some point in time. Yeah, I mean, I've come across them in Virginia, and I don't know if I've seen them up here yet. I know they got to be up here because this is all a lot of Native American territory. The Shawnee Indians and whatnot's been settled up here and passed through here. Because I learned that several years ago. I did some research up here several years ago in Bedford. Up around Shawnee State Park, which me and Julie's been talking about. I said we got to get back out there. I said from what I recall, it's very squatchy out there, around, especially around the lake,
What about Laurel Mountain? You know anything happened up there?
When you say Laurel Mountain, you talking about Laurel Hill State Park?
Yeah.
Actually, we were just there a few days ago, just doing a little hike.
Right at the bottom of that. It's like right over there.
Well, we actually got a report where off of one of the trails up there. When we get around to it, when we're able to, we're going to go hike up a certain trail and backpack in, because I think this, from what we were shown, and I don't know if it's actually an actual campsite. You basically kind of have to backpack in there. It's not one of the campsites, but it's a certain area where a couple people were camping, and they heard something that they never heard before that scared the crap out of them. Actually, one guy said he actually literally threw a steak in the fire. The other one just spit out his water and threw, and they took off out of there. I don't think they stayed the whole night, but that makes me really want to check out what's in that area, But supposedly there's been other, from the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project, they have a mapping thing where if you look on there, there's all kinds of reports and stuff, but where they actually, it's like a public thing you can check out, but I don't know how credible a lot of them are, because one of them has reports of seeing foot tracks on a beach and think they're Bigfoot. I mean, I guess they ruled out that it can't be people on a beach. So, I mean, I don't know. That's why I don't see how credible that report was. But that's just my story. So, I mean, I don't think people walk on beaches anymore. So, I mean, maybe it was Bigfoot, right? So.
But, now, tell us about what kind of, I keep seeing about these structures, and I think to myself, trees, they drop branches all the time, and it could look like something that possibly Bigfoot might want to sleep under. What kind of dwelling would you think Bigfoot would seek out? I mean, I would think, it would seek out like a bear, maybe a cave or something where it's out of the elements.
I picture him having huts like on Gilligan's Island.
If you make that structure, pack it with leaves, I mean, it's very.
I believe if it hides them from the elements, if it hides them, period, I think they'll take advantage of it. Bears, I mean, you talking about bears. Bears will gather limbs and stuff and make their own little bedding. They'll make nests. People don't realize that, but bears will do that. I don't know how common it is, but bears will do that. They'll gather other fallen debris, and bears will use already fallen debris, like down trees and stuff, and take refuge underneath. Like some of the things I like to point out to people too is when you see these big trees with root systems up, flipped over, if it's been down long enough, I believe bears or even coyotes, they'll dig out and burrow, they'll take advantage of that. Yeah. They could also be considered as what's the word I'm looking for? Ambush spots. They could be, they could hide behind there, waiting for a prey to walk through. So yeah, because a lot of them could either easily blend in, or some of them would, when these big trees uprooted, some of them form a very well dug out trench. And I mean, if I had to survive something, if I needed some shelter or something, and I would probably, if it was accessible, if it was easy, I mean, I would try to dig out something to get out of the elements under there if I had to, because a lot of bushcraft people, they get very creative. I actually did a couple videos, matter of fact, about shelters, stick-built shelters, and of course, a lot of them could easily be debunked. And a lot of people say, "Oh, that couldn't have been done by a person because none of these are cut." Well, I did a video showing a guy gathering everything he could. It showed him gathering. He wasn't cutting nothing, but he built his shelter based off of everything he grabbed in the woods. Bushcraft people that are experienced, will do this. And when I was a young kid, Dad showed me and my brother how to build a teepee structure. We didn't cut nothing. We gathered what was around, and build a big teepee,
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of bushcraft involved. There's a lot of bushcraft campers that will go out there. They'll find their own spot. They'll build something and they'll leave it there. There's an area, actually, matter of fact, there's an area or a spot in part of Laurel Hill State Park. There's actually several of these built up there. And some of them are actually close to roadways, and, there could be kids doing this, Yeah. But some of them look pretty creative, I've actually posted pictures of some of these in the past. But so, yeah, people fail to neglect that bushcraft exists. So,
right.
But yeah, back to the original question. I'm sorry, I tend to get off course sometimes.
No, you're fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, like I said, a lot of wildlife that they'll use whatever's available. If it's something like some of these structures and the way the bushes and the trees grow, like some of them do form and grow natural, what I call natural huts. Like when my oldest daughter, when she was younger, and she was out in the woods with me, I actually had her get underneath something to take a picture of it. It's the way the growth and the vines grow over, and it looks like a little hut, it's like, yeah, these are natural growths that grow like this sometimes. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. But
yeah. So, Daniel, if people want to learn more, if someone sees this and they're like, hey, where can we find out more about the ECBRO or you, and where you're going to be lecturing? Where do people have to go to find that information?
Well, I try to keep everything public as possible. I mean, I post a lot of it right on my personal timeline on Facebook. So I mean, I'm all over Facebook, social media. I'm not hard to find. If you want to send me an email, I mean, my emails, I have that posted publicly as well. Or you just go to my website. On the first section of the website, I have a lot of contact information on there. But yeah, ecbro98@gmail.com. They can email me, or like I said, just Google my name, or just how you see it right here, Daniel Benoit, ECBRO. You'll find me one way or another. So and then of course you got my YouTube channel right here. So I try to post on there as well. I'm even on TikTok. I post promotional stuff on. I've been promoting the events on there, and they've been getting some fairly decent reviews on TikTok. That's basically, I used to do a lot of silly stuff on TikTok, but over the last few years, I've been using it more for promoting, and yeah, the word gets out to people that are not on Facebook. So, so yeah, I try to take advantage of different things. I'm also on Instagram. I do a lot of posting on there, various things. So, but I have other Facebook pages. I have, apart from the ECBRO Facebook group, I have the ECBRO fan page itself. I have another public figure page of myself. So, if you just do a search on Facebook for ECBRO or something, you'll find one of my pages or me or one of my posts that will connect you to me. So yeah, I'm not hard to find. So.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of people that are fascinated with Bigfoot, things of that nature in their area, and they're not sure. Okay, well, I'm in Pennsylvania. Who do I look up to find information?
Where do I go?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that there are places in your state that you can look for these groups. And I mean, be wary, of course. I mean, you don't want to just go with.
You don't want to join a cult.
Yeah. We're already in one cult.
Right? We've drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, since I've been up here in Pennsylvania, since my presence has become more known and people are learning more that I'm up here, I got people starting to connect with me up here and telling me their stories, which is awesome, I mean, and just because I'm not in your state doesn't mean I don't want to hear your story. I mean,
right?
But I mean, there's other states I get to visit when time permits. Because between my work schedule and Julie's, we work on what we can and when we can. So, like this coming weekend, I mean, we're both off. So, so hopefully she's better by then. She's actually laying up in bed. She's like really sick right now. So
get better soon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got a wedding coming up, girl.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Well, Daniel, I want to thank you so much for coming on and telling us a lot of really good information.
I learned some stuff.
Yes, absolutely. It's I could probably go through Bigfoot way longer.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. And we could all learn from each other, really. That's the fun part about this whole thing is meet new people, get connected, learning things.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And although I never had a Bigfoot experience, I'm still very much I'm very curious. I mean, I hear about these different stories that people have. They might be walking down a trail and something catch their eye, and they swear that it has to be of Bigfoot origin, some type of a cryptid. And I totally believe that is very possible.
Oh, absolutely. And we just have to get you and Ronnie out with us, and you just never know. I mean, it's not guaranteed, like I tell people, you're not guaranteed to have an experience, but you just don't know. Just the more you can put yourself out there, the better chances you may have,
Yes.
So.
And absolutely. If all else fails, you at least have a wonderful time in nature with some friends.
Yeah. And I always love playing in the woods. So yeah.
Right. And that's how it is with our group campouts, even in Virginia, it's like, and I know that's how it's going to end up being up here, is that it's the fellowship, and you get to hear, gather around and sit around, chill at the camp at night and just listen to people talk and, what they experienced and what they might know. So it's a big learning experience and it is a lot of fun, so.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
It'll be good. It's going to be a good year.
Thank you, Daniel, so very much. Oh. And we will see you on the, what is that, May 25th?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We will see you there. Indeed. And we're looking forward to talking to you and some of the others. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And if I could recommend somebody that if you never had him on your show, he would be a great guest. He's also a Pennsylvania resident who's had UFO and Bigfoot experiences.
Wow.
So just make sure you have plenty of airtime for him. He likes to talk.
Yes.
I'll send you his information afterwards. So
fantastic. Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Awesome sauce.
All right. Well, you have a good night, and thank you again so much for being on our show.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. This has been great. I really enjoyed this. So
yes, it's always new friends. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And thanks everybody for showing up.
Yeah, thanks everybody
for hanging out with us.
All right, take care now, Daniel.
Peace out.
All right.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in with us tonight, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and follow to receive notifications when new content from Paranormally Podcasts is made available. If you believe you have something paranormal happening in your home or business, or you believe you may have witnessed a UFO, a UAP, please send us your stories, your photos, videos, questions, suggestions, or comments to paranormallypodcast@gmail.com. You can also visit us at paranormallypodcast.com for more content and information, including all our social media links. Thank you again for watching or listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode, Paranormally. Thanks, everyone.